Alright, let's do this. Oh, by the way, hello viewers. Mornings. Another beautiful day. Hope your five senses work. Health and strength is good or excellent. What? Alright, listen to this. Listen to this. Ubisoft tell the crew players they never actually own the game. It says the company says an ongoing lawsuit concerning the crew shutdown is based on a faulty assumption of video game ownership. Says here Ubisoft has issued quite the rebuttal to a pair of players who are attempting to sue the French publisher for shutting down multiplayer racer The Crew. Last year, 2 players in California filed a lawsuit against the company for permanently shutting down the title, claiming they and thousands of others had been left with a skeleton of what you thought you paid for. The Essential argued The Crew should have been left in a playable offline state rather than being delisted and taken offline. Ubisoft claims it was necessary to wind down the 2014 release because of the server infrastructure and licensing constraint, but noted it had maintained support for almost a decade. It said here, for those 2 players in California, it was a decision they felt totally barred access to the product they paid money for. Imagine you buy a pinball machine and years later you enter your den to go play it, only to discover that all the paddles are missing, the pinball and bumpers are gone, and the monitors and that proudly displayed your an accessible high score is removed. Reads the original lawsuit. It says, turns out the pinball machine manufacturer decided to come into your home, get the inside of the pinball machine. Gut the inside of the pinball machine and remove your ability to play the game that you bought and thought you owned. And then it says, subtopic, Ubisoft put the kibosh on the idea of outright ownership. In a response filed in February, Ubisoft suggested the argument that the Crew would remain playable indefinitely is misleading and claims it was explicitly selling temporary access to a product rather than outright ownership. Plaintiffs do not allege that Ubisoft made any statement indicating that consumers would in fact obtain unfettered access to the Crew if they purchase a physical copy. Read the company's response. It says here, to the contrary, the packaging made clear that Ubisoft could limit access. This is fatal to a plaintiff, FALUCL and CLRA claims. Plaintiff's entire theory of the case is based on the faulty assumption that buying a physical disc entitles purchasers to to infinite access to play the game. Ubisoft claimed that flawed assumption doesn't equate to misrepresentation under California law. The company reiterate it was selling a license to a product as opposed to an ownership right. Then it says, this isn't uncommon in the video game industry, but the lawsuit highlights a fundamental divide between the company selling those licenses and consumer making purchasing decisions. The plaintiff have since responded to Ubisoft's argument with a photograph of the Crew packaging, which notes the activation code for the title won't expire until 2099. They claim it's an example of Ubisoft indicating the Crew would remain playable during this time and long thereafter. Oh boy, the saga continues. That's the end of the article though. The saga continues. Physical copies versus digital copies. Ownership versus not owning a game. Yeah. The saga continues, man. But look. The fact that you go to the store and you buy the stuff. You buy the game from the store. The store is not renting it to you. They're selling it to you. You bought it with your own money. So you own that game. You didn't rent it. It's not like Blockbuster where like you go in the store and you sign up for a Blockbuster membership, you pay like $4 to rent a game. No. You went inside the store with your own money that you worked hard for and paid for, and you paid for the game. You own that game. What this case really comes down to too, comes down to is that Ubisoft tried to pull a fast one here by saying that you don't own the game that you purchased, because he says they say it's misleading and claims it was explicitly selling temporary access to a product rather than outright ownership. That's not true. Every game that you buy from the store doesn't have every game that you buy from the store doesn't have temporary access. It has access to it. There's no temporary access written on the package, or there's no temporary access written in the rules, like in the rules, like when you install a game on your console. So this is just, to me, this is just Ubisoft trying to cover themselves so they don't take a loss, you know. But the plaintiff, they came back and pointed to expires until 2099. This is 2024 2025, that is. And Ubisoft should have never shut the servers down, you know. I think this goes back to like when Activision had made the first Call of Duty. Made the, like, I think it was Call of Duty Modern Warfare 4, Modern Warfare 2, and Modern Warfare 3. I think it was Call of Duty 1, 2, and 3. When they made those Call of Duties, the only way to benefit from those games is if you play online. But then if you have a friend, you could do multiplayer. But it wouldn't be the same as like playing against bots on the computer. And Activision saw this, like they messed up somewhere down the line. So when it came to the first Black Ops, what did they do? You can play Black Ops 1 offline against the computer, and that's what the crew is missing. The same could be said for you could play Black Ops 1 against the computer by yourself. You can play Black Ops 2 against the computer by yourself in a multiplayer match. You can do that for Black Ops 3. You can do that for Black Ops 4 going forward. But from Call of Duty Modern Warfare 3, 2, 1, and then the first three, they realized that they messed up. Because they were losing. It's like the only way to play that game, it was like if it's connected to the internet. But then you can't do nothing else after that. So they realized they screwed up, and they fixed that. So from Black Ops 1 on up, now all the Call of Duties now you can play them offline against the computer. The crew now should have taken the approach where Forza Horizon 2 on the Xbox 360. They should have taken that approach, because on Forza Horizon 2 on the 360, you can play that game offline. You can play that game offline any day. If you got an Xbox 360 and you got Forza Horizon 2, and I think the first one, even though I got the first disc, I got to get some cream for it, get a machine to like clean up the scratches on it. But anyway, that's what it really needs. But anyway, you can play Forza Horizon 2 against the computer on the 360 all the time, all the time, if you got Forza Horizon 2. But that's what the crew is missing, and I think that's the point that the plaintiffs, they need to bring up in the court case. It's like, they had the game online, but that's the only way to get the full advantage of it. But this game doesn't have an offline play. feature, and that's what the crew needed. So that's what it's really, that's what it's really missing when you really look at this. It's really missing that Forza Horizon 2 feature on the 360, because on the 360 you can play Forza Horizon 2 all the time by yourself. You know, complete the challenges, and yeah, the game maintained its value. But what Ubisoft did with the crew, the game kind of lost that. The game lost that value. The same could be said for you remember Medal of Honor on the PlayStation 3 and 360. The only way to play that game was to play it online. It doesn't have that feature like how Call of Duty Black Ops 1, 2, 3, 4, what's that, Advanced Warfare, Ghost. It doesn't have that. You can't play against the computer by yourself. That's what those games are missing. So when it comes to the crew, that's what's missing here. So from this whole equation, you know, but far as like ownership of the game, when you walk into the store and pay for a game, you outright own that game. You own that game because you paid for it. You didn't rent it. You didn't sign no clause saying, "Oh, I'm renting this copy." No, you are paying for that game. Okay, so to me, Ubisoft really lost on this. Really lost on this. There's an article here from Polygon too, so I will leave that article in the description box. But the one that I'm looking at is from Game Developer. So yeah, but what the crew is missing is what Forza Horizon 2 is missing on the Xbox 360, because you can play that game all the time. You can play that game offline all the time by yourself, any day, all day. The same could be said for Call of Duty Black Ops 1, 2, 3, 4, Advanced, Ghost, Infinite Warfare. You can play against a computer by yourself in a multiplayer match. Set the rules how you want to set it and go at it. So yeah, that's what the crew is missing here, man. So yeah, I would say the major blow to this case would be Ubisoft. They created this problem, man. They lost value to the to me. They lost the first crew. They lost the game lost its value, because the only way to play that game was if it's online. But now that you shut it off, now it's like the game lost its value. Now it's in the grave. You can't play against the computer. You can't go offline and then customize your cars and then do what you want to do. You know, that's where the game really lost. So yeah, but that's just my thoughts on this whole case, man. Yeah, I mean, the plaintiff that, like, you know, like the people that fought, the two players that filed the lawsuit, I understand where they're coming from with this whole situation, man. The game loses its value when when it doesn't have those offline features like customizing your cars the way you want to, race against a computer, all that. You know, when you don't have that for a game, the game just sits there in the what's the word I'm looking for here? Like in the grave or in the abyss, and you can't do anything. You can't do anything else with it. You know, it's the same that happened with Call of Duty on the PlayStation 3, 360, and I think PC you have to be online, but on console, those games were in a grave, man, because you couldn't play those games like you would do, say, Black Ops 1, 2, and 3 against a computer, man. So yeah. Anyway, man, that's my thoughts on this, though. But let me know your thoughts and opinion on this. But this argument about you don't own the game, Ubisoft looks foolish on this. Anyway, I'm gonna lay this video for y'all to enjoy, though. Nice talking to you people again. Chris, Star Wars, Star Trek, Borg, Dark Side. Go. Peace.